computer. Yep. All right. All right. Hey, team. Good to see you all on this Monday evening. I'm very excited about this evening and looking to probably finish this off in 30 minutes or less. And then, of course, we can answer any questions that you might have off the bat. I'm really excited to see a bunch of you are in the challenge groups. Honestly, when we've been looking forward to doing this, Amber and I have been talking about it for a long time, like before I did the My Favorite Things group. And I wasn't very clear when I shared with Angela that we were going to do it. So then she's doing that branding challenge, so they're crossing over. So I'm trying to make sure that if whatever we're doing, if I can somehow blend them. But I'm going to keep it so it's not overwhelming, because I know I'm not a fan of the overwhelming just assignments to be doing assignments. So that being said, we're going to talk about this thing that I've done. Amber and Chandra and I have done a couple of them. And we want to talk to you about these little mini Zooms, the small group Zooms is what we're going to call them, okay? And so everybody can hear me okay? No issues, you can see. All right. So Lindy Kitchen is one of the emeralds. She's actually, nope, she's a sapphire now, that jumped into that, a few of my favorite things group. And she shared this thing called activating runners instead of looking for runners. So those of you that are on this team call, it's an assumption of mine that you are looking to build a team, you're looking to build a business. And we talk about find your rock stars, find your runners. And so Lindy was very, just very open in saying she doesn't look for them, she activates them. And so we had the opportunity to talk with her on a smaller scale, just a few leaders, so that we could start teaching this downward and duplicating it, about activating runners. And I think that the three of us have actually tweaked a little bit of what we're doing. So we haven't yet activated someone to be a runner, but we've definitely gotten their belief a little bit more. And so what I want to have happen for this evening is that you're going to hear from both Chandra and Amber and myself, but I want you to hear how Chandra has been inviting, the language that she's using, and how she's messaging these people to get them to say, yeah, they'll get on the call with us. And what she has seen, how she felt in the beginning, kind of through it, and then even afterwards, what she's experienced. Same thing, I want Amber's thoughts on what she's experiencing and how she can see it happen, using it with her level ones. And then we can open up for some questions, okay? So I want to go ahead and switch this to speaker view. There we go. And I'm going to start with Chandra. If you'll go ahead and, well, actually, I guess I should say, first of all, so what is this that we're talking about? When we're talking about these group calls, these activating runners calls, it literally is maybe 3 or 4 people. I would say no more than 4 or 5. Like 5 starts to get too many for the amount of time that we want to use. So 3 or 4 people. Chandra can tell you how she groups them together, because it's brilliant in the way that you think, not to just, hey, grab some people who can get on that night. That's not what that is about. So it's 3 or 4 people, and you have your upline and probably someone else, and you just basically kind of do the introduction and then lay low until you're invited to share something, which, again, it's this third-party validation. And so we're going to talk about that when we talk about these small group Zooms. It's not just a random thrown together thing. You're going to see that there's actually some thought into it. So it's been a really fabulous thing. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over. Chandra, will you share what you're getting from this and what you're seeing?
Yeah, so the first thought I had when you were saying that we haven't actually activated runners yet, I know we've found so many other beneficial aspects to it, but I'm really excited to see what happens when you guys expand this to other people with teams that are have been on the products longer, because I think that's when we'll actually see, some people being activated into the business. I think part of why my calls have taken a different direction is because I think the longest client I have on products is maybe just around 60 days. So all of my people are so new to still kind of, wrapping their brain around taking the products that they're maybe not quite ready yet to, be activated. So I'm excited to see what happens when you guys do it with other teams that have been on the products longer and see people that really like just grab the business and run with it. Okay, so this was first an idea that Wendy came up with when we were just in a conversation where I was just sort of asking some questions and saying, you know, there's some of the things I say to clients, can you help me say them better and things like that. And she said, yeah, let's do it right away. And in the very beginning, I sort of couldn't wrap my brain around what it would actually look like. And so I wasn't able to articulate an invitation to people. And then after you had that Zoom call with Lindy and I was able to listen to a much more detailed description of it, we sort of figured out exactly what it might be. So in the invitation, I try to address all the different personalities in my invitation, kind of make something for everybody. So it's very short. It's only about 6 lines. But I tell them that I'm doing something new and I would really appreciate if they joined me and tried something new with me. I tell them the purpose is very clear. It's just to touch base with you, to see how you're doing, answer any questions if you have them, introduce you to some other Plexus people, and maybe learn about other products. Because my people are so new, I'm very careful not to mention the business. So far, I've had only positive responses. Either I have people say, yes, I'll be there. People say, oh gosh, I can't, but please invite me again. Or I have people say, I'll do this for you, but I'm not working the business. Don't sabotage me. And so I have to, ease their concern and say, no, I promise that's not going to happen. And of course it doesn't. The most Wendy has said to people who are really happy with the products is think about the business. And even if you're not there yet, think about giving Chandra referrals. So that's really sort of all we've mentioned so far. So that's how I invite people. I also describe to them what it is. I describe it that it's sort of like a private Facebook Live, but where we can all see each other. And I think that that makes people feel a little more comfortable. And I let them know that they can keep their camera off. And we've had a few people who have kept their camera off most of the time. And at the very end, I'll text them and say, what do you think? Can you come out of hiding? And they have so far. But even if they really couldn't and didn't want to, that'd be okay too, because if nothing else, they've listened to all the great conversation that we've had already. And if they were willing to share even without their camera, then, I'm glad they were there anyway, even if they're still too shy to turn their camera on. The other thing, so as far as how I group them, so far I've had one group of people that I knew really would want to work the business but aren't there yet. So I sort of grouped them together. I had another group of people that are just in the thick of die-off and are just so mad at me and so like this was throwing in the towel. And so with them, I said, do this one thing for me, hear from other people, hear different ideas and different troubleshooting ideas. And so that was one group. And then another group, was all people who were quite happy on the products they were on, but had all said to me, well, what's the next step? Can I hear about more products? And so that was, sort of another group. And then in our little, triad here, Amber's really our ringer as far as diving into the nitty gritty science of it. And so I try and always put one person in there that I know needs to hear that. Like one person that's been asking me a lot about Candida and I know they're that green personality that want to know so much more. And then I know other people that are on the call will also benefit from learning about it as well. So I think that's sort of how I group them together. For me, I think that it has been so incredibly exciting. As a new ambassador, I feel so supported knowing that I have these to rely on, so that my customers can hear from other people. And I learn so much. It's one thing to hear Amber say, this is how I talk to somebody, or this is how I would address this situation. But watching her do it and watching Wendy do it, it's just such a light bulb moment. One person got on and Amber said, before you talk, can I ask you what you do for a living? And she said, whatever she said. She said, oh, okay, so you know a little about science, and then dove into it. I was like, oh, I see what she did there. In one question, she figured out, sort of what color personality she was. And so it's been a great learning experience for me. And watching both Andy and Amber and Wendy troubleshoot. I'm working on asking more questions. And so watching them ask questions and sort of convince people to talk more about themselves and come to their own conclusions has been great for me. And I can use that, in my own conversations with people as well.
All right, so I want you to share, because I think some of our biggest aha moments were the next day. Mm-hmm. We had people, that you immediately said, here was the response I got, or here's what they did today. Maybe you can share just a little without giving too much information, but just like what you've experienced so far.
Yeah. Everybody has been super positive about it. I've gotten nothing but positive experiences, and it's been interesting. Even there was one woman that's a very close friend of mine. I spent a lot of time with her. She was the very first person that bought from me. But in talking to you guys, you figured out that she wasn't eating breakfast. And so she wasn't eating until 1:00 in the afternoon. And I knew that Slim was making her shaky. And I had tried everything I had thought of. But even this person that I talk to all the time, and I know really well, I just had never thought of saying, hey, are you eating breakfast? So it's so neat to see, just other people, you know what I mean? Like getting other perspectives. And then she texted me the next morning and said, you won't believe it. I took Slim first thing in the morning and I ate at 10:00 and no shakes all day. And she was so excited about that. And the other example I would say is, one woman that was pretty angry, she's got a rough life and she's going through a lot. And, she was pretty ready to throw in the towel when I asked her to do this Zoom with me. And the beginning of our Zoom, she was angry, and I watched Wendy and Amber sort of, get her to talk a little bit more and talk about themselves and let her know that, we've all been there. We've had those moments. We've been through those things. She wasn't alone. And so we watched her sort of open up more and maybe get a little angrier as she was sharing. And then by the end, she sort of was a little more open and calm. And then the next day there was, we had a 4-way chat and, she was sharing these little aha moments that she was having. And then every time all of us supported her, she was coming out more. And she just kept saying how grateful she was. And you could just see that she felt supported for the first time in a long time. And that was really, really neat to be able to provide and to watch that happen.
Very good. Thanks for sharing that. I mean, guys, that's totally different than just saying, hey, there's fortune in the follow-up. Mm-hmm. What we've done is we've opened up doors that weren't like they were locked down, or maybe they were just hidden doors. We didn't even know they were there. But having this multiple conversation was really exciting because it's even become more than just, hey, how are you doing on your products? We've heard some things that we can now support her just in life and saying, hey, how is your daughter? And it's been really, really cool. So, and I know Amber said she was afraid she was going to go through a dead spot. So Amber, hopefully you're good now to share with us. So we need to unmute you. And then Amber will share also what she's experiencing through this.
Okay, so technically I should be home right now, but there is a guy trying to back a massive camper into his driveway. So I've been sitting here for 5 minutes and I'm ready to enter the dead spot. So we'll see how this goes. If I cut out, just give me a few minutes and I'll log back in.
Okay.
So Chandra is my level 1, and obviously Wendy, I'm your level 1. So we did this as something that we want to make duplicatable for everybody. So think of it in terms of that. So if I am contacting my level 1, such as Chandra, and saying, hey, let's get your customers, whether they're wholesale or preferred or whatever, on a call, then I'm going to be there to support Chandra, and then Wendy is going to be there as well as our additional upline. And I have not started to do this for myself yet, but I absolutely plan to be contacting all of my wholesale and preferred customers, because the support that is coming out of these calls, to have this really valuable one-on-one time with them that is basically talking. It is not a text message. It is not an email. You know what I mean? It's completely different to have these people there to have, and it's just completely different.
Oh, I think we might be losing her. Yep. And Chandra's into text, her typing and texting. I love it. Okay, so she's going to come back on, but until that moment, I think I will just take over on this one. So one of the things that I am benefiting from, okay, so, and then we'll wait for Amber to come back into the non-Zed zone. Did she just come back in? Yeah, getting her out of the dead zone and come back on. But anyway, something that is, it's pretty cool is that we're looking at having 2 ambassadors on with that level 1. And I don't know if this is the way it will always work, because you might not have 2 people above you that are, your sponsor and their sponsor. You might not have that opportunity. You can use sidelines as well. Okay. So don't feel locked in that, oh my gosh, it has to be my sponsor and that person's sponsor. I think what I'm seeing that's coming out of this quite beneficially is, I want to say that the colors that we're representing with between Amber and Chandra and myself is that we've got the yellows, the greens, and the reds covered. It's blue because it's fun that we're just sitting there and we have this group happening with just a few people. It's not, it's not like, in this, there's 19, 20 of us on this call, and you're not all going to be able to participate. But in the small group, everyone's going to share. And we just open it up after we share just a little snippet of our own testimony. So the first night we went a little bit long. We're having a lot long. So we have to, we were having to figure out, how do we condense them? How do we shorten them? The next one was a little bit shorter than the last one was perfectly, it's done really well. I've also learned that I can kick people off of Zoom. That's pretty cool. That they're kind of waiting as we say, okay, well, thanks. We'll talk to you guys later. And the 3 of us just kind of stay there. And some of the participants are staying there. And so I now realized I have this power, and I just click on, remove from group, click. And so the 3 of us then kind of stay and we decompress. We just talk about what happened. What did we hear? What do we want to do as far as follow-up? Who's going to make a contact, and what kind of conversation? So it has been really, really beneficial in that sense. So when we have the 3 of us, these are Chandra's level 1s, or her customers. They've already heard from her. They've already heard almost all of her knowledge. And if she's like I am, I don't say exactly what I should say to my customers or to my level 1s, because I might say it gently. And I would rather have someone who's not got, a stake in the game, where they're, to be able to say, what? You're eating what every night? Oh my gosh. Well, no wonder it's not working. I wouldn't say that to my own person, because I wouldn't want to hurt their feelings and have them quit. But if somebody else says it, I'm totally cool with it. So what we're seeing is that, okay, now you have 2 people who really don't have a reason not to say the truth, even though the truth might, and so we can say, are you willing to hear what we're going to say? Are you going to try this before you give up? Are you willing to try to eat a breakfast? And Amber was beautiful the other night saying, I'm going to give you one thing. I just want you to try one thing. We're not going to change your whole day, we just want to ask you to do one thing, and that's going to be try to eat some breakfast. And it sounded so doable that I think that's when we started to turn that go from the angry mode to, okay, maybe they really want to help me. So that was really cool. And to get onto a call with different personality types, so that I don't need to know how to say all the fabulous words, and I don't need to know everything specific about the ingredients, because I can always go, well, you know what? I'm going to let Amber talk about that one right now. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of turn it over to her. It's not saying, oh gosh, I don't know the answer. I'll have to go find. We've got it there. It's just I don't have to be the one to answer. Mm-hmm. And then when she's giving all of the information and I see the deer in the headlight look, I can go, oh, here comes my yellow self. Oh, let me pat that one a little bit and say, well, let's talk about how you feel. So we're blending our strengths, and it's pretty darn amazing. It's been so much more beneficial than some of these 3-way conversations. And we love 3-way messages. Trust me, we are not dropping 3-way messages, guys. You're going to continue doing those. But what a difference when it's happening in about 45 minutes of time, as opposed to over 4 or 5 days of time by the time we all make our responses. Chandra, while we're waiting for her to jump back on, can you talk about how you're selecting your times?
Yeah, I can. The other thing that I was thinking about, while you were talking, is that as people plan to do these themselves, I think it's really important that the upline tell their story as well. You know what I mean? Because everybody knows my specific story. My specific story has to do with Lyme and blood sugar. And so people get a little myopic about where I'm coming from. And I was really surprised that 2 people had sort of told me ahead of time, I'll talk about this and I'll talk about that, but I'm not talking about my anxiety. Or I'm not talking about my issues around my menstrual cycle. And I said, okay, share whatever you want. But then after they heard, Amber say, I've been here, I understand that, and you shared your story, then I noticed they both did share that, and they felt really safe doing that. And so I think that's a huge piece of it. And I know those first calls, they went a little long, so it's important to sort of, get that elevator pitch, tell your story in a short amount of time. But people being able to identify with the things that you guys have been through really help them be able to open up. So as far as times, I've been trying to, ideally what I want to do for my sort of sanity and for ease of process as well is to pick 2 times a week and just sort of roll with those, and just say, okay, my customer calls are going to be Tuesday nights and Friday afternoons. I have kind of played around with doing one evening and one daytime. I'm available during the day. I know it's harder. So it's just going to depend on who all the uplines are and who your customers are. I have a lot of, stay-at-home moms and people that work from home, and I do too. So I can do a daytime. So I just kind of had to play around and see when people are available. But I think ideally for me, that's the goal, is just to say, Tuesdays at 9 and Fridays at 2. And then that way my uplines can kind of plan around that, as we go on. And then at this point, I have so many sort of backlogged customers that I'm trying to group them together and get them all at least one call. But eventually I'll be at a nice place where I'll have those 2 calls every week. And then as I add people, I'll kind of know, you know what I mean? After 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I'll plug them in. Or if right away they have some major detox and I need, some help, I'll plug them in sooner. And Amber and I have also, we haven't done this yet, but we've also talked about the possibility of having even prospects on a call. I think it would be really unique to that. Like, not every prospect would make sense, but some of those people that you've been talking to for a long time, maybe some of those green people, that really just want to know more and more and more and more, or have a very specific question about, well, I've been on a Candida supplement for 10 years. How is this different? I can try to address that, but I know that face-to-face with Amber, you know what I mean? And so I think that really could be, something that could work. Or if you had a prospect that was also interested in the business side of it. Our comp plan is amazing, but wow, is it hard to understand in the beginning until you actually kind of dive in and, get to start using it. So I think if you had a prospect that was very interested in the business side as well, this might be a good way to kind of answer those questions and help them understand. Because so many times I say to people, if I don't have the answers, I'll find them. Like, you're not just working with me, you're working with my whole team, but it's much more palpable when they see it, and they see the 2 of you there and, everybody working together.
Yeah. And I imagine, we try and do the Facebook events where we get prospects in and people to learn, but how cool is it that we're now going back to the idea? And I know that this is very similar to saying, hey, let's get on a 3-way call. There's something about these 3-way video conferences, and the fact that they're allowed to stay off camera if they want to, but then they end up joining at the end. That's been really cool for us to see. And then Chandra, I think, also mentioned, I don't know if she's mentioned it to you guys, like in that group message or the group chat, is that she's going to make this part of her, okay, you're starting the products, here's what you can expect from me. Mm-hmm. Right? That you're just going to add that to here's what you're going to do. We're going to stay in contact, and then I'm going to be adding you to a group so that they're already kind of in the know that that's going to happen, Yeah.
And I was surprised. I don't know if I was nervous when I first started sending out invitations, but I sort of expected to have it be a mixed bag. Some people say, no way, I'm not going to do that, or thank you, but I don't need that. I've gotten 0 of that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I think the other thing too that I was thinking about the other day is that, especially some of those people that are a little frustrated or might be, nearing the wanting to quit, it's much harder to walk away once you've seen so many people and you've seen their face and that they're rooting for you and you've told them your story. I think it gets a lot harder to quit. And that's what we want for them. We desperately want them to get farther enough in to see those benefits. And if so, so this provides that support, then that's fabulous.
Now, someone had asked you to share your invitation wording. I think she did that in our Leaders on a Mission group. I believe you actually...
I can do it here, though, if that's helpful. I can just copy and paste it.
Okay. Yeah, one of my favorites is when we're on calls, she is typing to the people who are on the call with us at the same time. And so if she's not muted, we just get to hear this. So we know that she's talking to someone.
Sometimes it needs a little extra encouragement.
Right?
So one thing that I do want to work on personally, and that I would, as advice recommend, is that I need to get better at knowing how to troubleshoot when Zoom doesn't work. Because a couple times people have logged on and we couldn't hear them, or we could see them and they couldn't hear us. And we're all just sitting there like, we don't know, you know what I mean? Like, we don't know what the steps are to troubleshoot it or whatever. So I'm going to do some research on that. And my husband can make sort of screencast, emails. So I think that's a goal of mine, to maybe send those ahead of time, as if this is the first time using Zoom on a computer, here's how you do it. If this doesn't happen, try this, just so that we feel more empowered to help people and it doesn't drag on just trying to get them to make it work.
Yeah, we are learning some of those as well. I'm going to tell you the other really cool thing about doing the Zoom, now that we've got the
that's
posted.
That's the wrong one. I sent you the wrong script.
Okay,
that's
well, that script.
That's the wrong script.
But I'm going to tell you, one of the cool things that we've been able to do is, while we are on these Zooms, you have that chat box and you can chat privately. So while Amber was talking one evening, she was talking with this group, with this particular person, and I was privately messaging. I had to make sure that it was to Chandra and not to the wrong person. But I was able to privately message her and ask her questions that I had without saying it in front of everybody. Like, I say, okay, tell me if this person is on, tell me if she's tried, just, it was a very private message that no one else, just me and Chandra had. So that was really cool that you also have that option, is that you can do that right in the middle of this conversation. So, all right, Amber, are you ready yet?
I'm here. I've been here.
Well, you should have said something.
Well, I was muted and I didn't know that. So I'm like, I'm back. But you guys couldn't hear me and you guys were doing a great job. So then I figured I was just going to let you roll.
All right. So we'll hear from the eclipse of Amber.
Well, I don't know what to say now. You guys kind of covered everything.
No, because I want you to share, I would like to share, you to share really your strength in this and what you're seeing happening with it going forward. Just any other tips that you can give them as well.
Well, I think that in general, the support that people are getting when they are on the products, whether they have on 6 months, I don't really care. I think everybody should be involved in at least one of these calls, because so many times we are like, okay, I'm your ambassador. I'm going to help you with the products. I'm going to tell you what the dose is. We're going to do this, whatever. I'm putting you in this customer group. I'm putting you in Team Legacy. But I feel like a lot of times we'll reach out to people to try and follow up. We might get crickets. People don't respond to us, or they're frustrated because they're going through die-off. Heaven knows if they're looking at anything in the team pages, because you have to physically be active and go in there and check it. It's not that something's being sent to you and you're automatically going to see it. So really, they're kind of on their own little, I'm starting Plexus Island, and they might be feeling very alone. And they have their one person, whoever signed them up, and that's really all they've got. So getting on these calls and actually meeting and seeing and talking to other people, establishing relationships and making these connections, and be like, oh, there really are other people out there that I have access to, that I can ask questions, I can message. So Chandra's people don't just have Chandra. They can connect with me. They can connect with you or whomever was on the call. And we've followed up with them afterwards and be like, I just want to let you know it was really great talking to you last night. I hope you got blah, 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 whatever the conversation, whatever's pertinent to respond, and just kind of forge that connection. I think the importance of it is twofold, with people staying on the product, feeling that they are supported, that they have resources to connect to. If they're having an issue, they have a question, maybe they do reach out to Chandra, but maybe they just don't like what she had to say, or maybe Chandra is not available and they really feel like they need an answer right away, whatever it might be, but they have other people that are there to support them. And I think it was like Chandra said, it's much harder to quit on somebody when you like them, when you know them, when you've seen them face to face, versus hiding behind your phone and a text message.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to that, the twofold thing is if anyone has ever thought about doing the business, to see the support that they would have for their own customers coming through in this manner, to know that they definitely would not be alone in this business, that they have these people behind them. Yeah, I think that's a very powerful and enabling thing, because we're like, okay, well, I wouldn't be alone in this. I can do this if so-and-so is going to be there to help me. I can do this if we can do these kinds of calls, and I don't need to know all the answers, because there's going to be other people that I can go to that are going to know the answers for me.
Awesome.
Do you want me? Okay.
So let me ask you, because you were on the group when I talked with Lindy, and we talked about this activating runners. Can you share, like Amber, was there anything activating runners that you see that this is going to be successful with? I mean, you did mention, yes, they're going to see that they've got the support. So how are we going to activate them then as the leaders on the call? Like, what have you and I been doing so far that you see is working? Because you're actually doing a really good job in your follow-up.
I am. Okay.
Yeah. She's so
yeah, I feel like with Lindy, she starts things the way that we have been starting them, and we've only been doing round 1 of calls with people, but it's not just us sharing our story and them sharing their story and finding out what their health needs are, but we're also starting to get to know them more as people, get to know their personalities, what's going on in their lives, what their home situation is. And again, you do this call. So these calls right now are for Chandra to then, as her upline, I am then following up the next day, sending just a quick message to them, again, establishing a relationship and a connection. And I can maintain that, friending them on Facebook. They can see my post. I can see their post. Just help build some belief more in both the products and the support as a customer and also as an ambassador. And I think it's important that you can start seeing, like I said, seeing those personalities, seeing those needs in people. Do they need the business? Would they be good talking or sharing Plexus? You can kind of pick certain things out of people and be like, oh, she'd be really good at this. You meet somebody and be like, oh, she's perfect, So I think it's a great way to start building those relationships and start honing in on certain people. And as you continue to have these connections, whether it's a message, something on Facebook, an additional private Zoom, and you can start then to talk to them and plant those seeds. You drip, drip, drip a little bit here and there, like you had started, yes, I've been doing this for a few years and I finally got to retire and I'm going to Hawaii with my Lexus. So we're not throwing it down their throats, but it's like, wow, she's got a Lexus and she used to be a teacher. Obviously, you built your business while you were working full time. That sounds doable, right?
Excellent. No, it's excellent. And right up front, just so you guys know this, when we start looking at this, so we have a group message that is Chandra and Amber and myself. And when she says, okay, here are the 3 people for this week, she gives us their first and last name, so that if we want to go stalk their Facebook page, we can do that. But she gives us their name and she tells us what they've been on, how long they've been on it, and basically a little bit about them. So if it was the 2 people that we talked to that were, in the thick of die-off, she gave us specifics about what they were dealing with. And then another group, she gave us specifics about they're early on, but they're really happy with their products. I mean, so we had some detail. So that's another thing for you to think about. Just starting a 3-way message or jumping into a Zoom call without giving us any knowledge beforehand, it just really throws us into the dark, kind of like Amber is right now, that we just wouldn't even know where to start, because and that's when that call would become extremely long, because now we're like trying to figure out where to even run with that conversation. So what we're doing is we're taking some of that information beforehand, so that we almost know where we're going to guide that conversation. Okay. So these have been, first of all, they're really fun. When we get them better with the timing, they're not going to take up that much time. So honestly, you might be able to set up a lunchtime one. You might be able to say, okay, these people work during the day. They get a lunch hour between 11 and 12, or if they're teachers, between 11 and 11:10. Right? Or 11 and 12. So if you can maybe get a lunchtime with them and say, okay, from 11 to 11:40, we're going to do this call with you, and they can just kind of be with us on that and get some questions answered. So I really think these things are phenomenal. I'm going to tell you right now, this is going to be one of your assignments for Momentum Group. Okay, so those of you that are doing the Momentum Challenge, one of your assignments is going to be to do a mock Zoom run. Okay, you're welcome to go ahead and do the full-blown jump in one, but I'm going to be having you get together with a couple of other ambassadors where you're going to set up a mock trial of this, and you're going to say, all right, the two of us are going to be the two ambassadors, and these two are going to be the customers or the clients, and you're going to run with it that way. And I will tell you that something that you would need to be thinking about at that moment is, it's very easy to get into that situation with the four of you on a Zoom call, and you start talking about things other than the actual assignment. Like you start saying, okay, so what are you going to say? No, I don't want that. I want you to actually run it. If it's a 15, 20-minute one, but I want you to say, okay, the two of us, and you can set that up as a group chat beforehand, so that you know who's going to be the customers, and you can get on and just say, okay, so I've been on Triplex for 1 month, and here's some of my die-off. Pick out some of the die-offs that you've read about or that you've heard about, and see that how the other two ambassadors are going to support you with that. But it's just so that you get in the habit of, how do you start a Zoom call? How do you manage the participants? Is there a troubleshooting just with Zoom that you have to deal with? And then as you're taking notes on that Zoom, you can realize, wow, I wasn't prepared to answer this, or I should have had my price sheet in front of me, or I should have had my catalog in front of me. So it kind of just gives you an idea of what would be beneficial to have before you get started. Okay, I hope this has really been helpful. If you have any questions that are like burning right now that you would like to get them answered for everybody, go ahead, and I think you can just unmute yourself if you'd like.
I wanted to say something really quick.
You may say whatever.
That's okay. Okay. So, yes, I love the fact that Chandra gives us this little background information of the people that are going to be on the call beforehand, but we don't tell them that we know these things.
Oh,
it's more, we don't say, oh, well, I know that you are dealing with, Chandra informed me, or Chandra already told, we don't say that.
Chandra told us you haven't pooped in 3 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't actually say those things. We just as the knowledge to use as our benefit. But we do just, so basically the way that a call goes, since Wendy's the upline, the top upline on them right now, is Wendy will start the call and she'll introduce herself and just say, we're here to chat real quick, we just want to touch base with you and, help you through this. And I just want to tell you a little bit about myself real quick, and she'll do like a 2-minute version of her testimony, and then she'll introduce me, and
hey,
I'll do a 2.
Hang on 1 second.
Huh?
Let's do this. Let's do like a really, would you guys be all right with that? Anybody would like to see or kind of experience it? If you wouldn't mind, if we just took like 15 minutes and we kind of just run one. And I like the idea, I'm just going to pick on Susan because she's right there in the middle of my Brady Bunch thing. So Susan, you're going to be our client.
Okay.
So because Susan is the client, I'm going to have Chandra and Amber actually be my upline. Okay. So Chandra, you get to be me this time. Okay. So I will
You're not going to be you. Can't you just be you?
Would you like to be me?
No, I just wanted to do it like we normally do. So we'll pretend that Susan is Chandra's customer.
Yes.
You be you and I'll be me.
We could do that. All right. So we would have gotten information that, Susan's been on the products for maybe, let's say that she's been on them for about 3 weeks, and she's not really having a good time with them. She's not feeling the energy, and she actually feels shaky. So we're just going to kind of take some of the information that we've had before. Okay, so Amber, she's been on the triplex. She doesn't eat breakfast, but we don't know that yet. She takes it and she's shaky. She's not feeling anything. As a matter of fact, she's, kind of irritable, and she'll just give us some good information, I'm sure, as we start asking her questions. Okay, so Chandra would actually start us out by introducing us. So here we go. Roll them.
So this is what's your name? What's her name?
This is Susan.
Susan.
This is my client.
Yeah, this is my client, Susan. She and I have actually been friends since high school. So it's really cool that we reconnected through Plexus. She's taking the triplex and she's having some issues, and I've been trying to troubleshoot with her, but I'm excited for her to hear some ideas from other people tonight.
All right, that's great. Well, I'm going to go ahead and start then, Susan. So it's really, I'm really glad that you were able to get on with us tonight. This is one way that we can help and just figure out maybe something that would support your use of products even better. So let me just share really quickly a little bit about myself. I've been an ambassador. First of all, my name is Wendy. I met you, and I've been an ambassador for a little over 3 years, about 3.5 years. I was a teacher, and during, about 3.5 years ago, I was noticing that I would come home after school and just have to take naps every day. I just was not able to stay awake. The energy level was not there. I was becoming really grumpy. I just was moody, really, really moody. And I've always been addicted to junk food. It's the way I was raised because, sweets and junk food are much cheaper than healthy food. And as a family, we were living on junk food. But I noticed when I was eating the sugar, I would crash and just have to sleep. And so I started thinking, because of my family's history, maybe I needed to go get my blood work done. And sure enough, they told me I was a type 2 pre-diabetic. And I don't know if you know about like diabetes or how we test those numbers, but they check it's called an A1C, and that's a 3-month window of the insulin in my body. And if it's, how it's attached to the blood cells. So I had a 6.1, and it's supposed to be below a 5.5. So not bad, but the doctor was like, yeah, you're going to have to go on medication if you don't get this under control. And so I complained about it on Facebook. Because I didn't want to have to change my diet. And a friend of mine that I trusted, she called me and she said, hey, I don't know if you've heard of this product, but it's actually designed for leveling blood sugars. And so I went ahead and said I would do that with her for about 3 months. I committed to 3 months, and that's going to be really important that you hear me say that. I committed to 3 months because red blood cells require 3 to 4 months just to replace themselves. So I knew that I couldn't just try it for a month and get results. I was going to give her 3 months. And so that's what I did. And my long story short is at the end of the 3 months, I went and got my blood work done. And sure enough, my blood sugars did come down. Now I have to tell you that I actually tried to sabotage the product because I wanted to prove that the product was working and that it was not me changing my diet on purpose. So I continued to eat the Oreo cookies every night. I struggled because my taste changed, my cravings were changing, but I committed to 3 months of eating junk food and taking the products consistently. And so at the end of the 3 months, I did find that my blood sugars had come down. The other things that I didn't realize would happen, had no idea it was included, was that I stopped taking naps. I was getting control over those cravings. I had incredible energy. My mood had settled. Like I was no longer having those anxiety moments where I was no longer just feeling, one moment I was happy and the next moment I wasn't. I noticed that my arthritis in my fingers, my hands didn't hurt anymore. So I was having all kinds of really cool results. At the same time, I was starting to lose weight. And I know that Chandra had mentioned that you were interested in weight loss. I was not looking at weight loss at all, but I did get it because I was consistent, and it did not happen in that first month. So I just want you to know that. So that's a little bit about me. And then the cool thing is, I didn't plan on doing this as a business. I did not. As a matter of fact, I was going to be a secret pink drinker. I was never going to tell a soul. And after about 6 weeks, the inflammation in my body was starting to go down. And so teachers were asking me what I was doing. And I told them I was drinking the pink stuff, and I sent them to my website because I said I wasn't going to sell it to them, but they could buy it off my site. And then I got a paycheck. So I started I basically had a business. And then last year I retired because it replaced my income. So I was pretty excited about that. And so now I love helping people get better. So that's my story. And I'm going to let Amber tell hers now.
Hi, Susan. I'm Amber, and I met Chandra actually because she did body work for my daughter when she was a baby. And she actually found me on Facebook. This is so weird not doing this for real. I'm sorry.
I can't even remember what's wrong with me. I'm just gonna throw a bunch of stuff out.
Just pretend. Okay.
Perfect.
So let me tell you a little bit about my story. So I am the girl that talks about poop a lot because I started when I was very young. So I had issues with going to the bathroom and being really constipated as a child. And as I got older, it only got worse. And that ended up snowballing into a lot of health issues for me. Mainly I had IBS. So I was either extremely constipated or I was running to the bathroom very urgently. And either way, I was bloated. I looked like I was pregnant all the time, and I was always in a lot of pain. And with that, I ended up developing a lot of other health issues. So I was dealing with anxiety and depression. I was exhausted all day long, but yet I couldn't sleep at night, which meant I couldn't get out of bed in the morning. And I also had, two babies under 2 at the time that this all happened. Well, this was building, but at the time I found Plexus, I had 2 babies under 2. I was exhausted all day long. I would actually get angry at my babies because they wouldn't take a nap, and I needed to take a nap. So I would call my husband crying because he needed to come home from work to take care of the girls so that I could sleep. And I was having these massive blood sugar crashes on a daily basis where I would start sweating and I would get really shaky, and I literally would feel like I was going to pass out. And I was running to the freezer or the pantry to get the M&M ice cream cookie sandwiches or reaching for the bag of Dove chocolate. And, it was a fear for me that I was going to pass out on my children, and Lord knows how long I was going to be there until my husband came home and found us like that. I was sick all the time. I got chronic sinus infections. The doctors wanted to do a surgery to drain my sinuses. I was constantly getting cold sores. There were just days that I didn't want to get out of bed, days that I didn't care if I woke up the next morning. I had reflux. I had migraines. I was sick all the time. I had so many issues, and life was just not fun. So I found out about Plexus. I had heard Wendy talking about it. We actually threw a baby shower together for a mutual friend. And I heard her, chit-chatting on the side about, Plexus and diabetes and blood sugar. And I just kind of rolled my eyes going, she's trying to sell something at a baby shower. Okay. And so our friend Tara, who had her baby, it was actually her 4th baby, and she's always been really tiny, like 100 pounds. And she was a gymnast, and she would blow up every time she had a baby. She would gain 100 pounds, so she would go from 100 pounds to 200 pounds. And every time she lost the weight, no problem. So after baby number 4, she did not lose the weight. It was not coming off, and she was pretty upset about it and just kind of was like, all right, well, I guess this is the way I'm meant to be in life. This is the body type that my mom has. And I don't know what happened. I did talk to her for a little bit. And then she's like, I started Plexus and I'm losing all this weight. And she dropped 70 pounds like that. Like it just came right off of her. So I was like, that's amazing. So I started to look into it because I was nursing 2 girls. Yes, both of them. And I found out that it was safe for breastfeeding. And they put me in the breastfeeding and Plexus support group, which was really awesome. And then my other best friend, who was also named Tara, decided that she was getting married on New Year's Eve of all days. And of course, I'm going to be one of her bridesmaids. And I just was done with being overweight. I didn't want to stand up there in a dress and be fat, and that was really my only concern. So I started drinking Slim, and I had no idea what I had in my hands. I just thought it was a weight loss fad, and I was absolutely terrified to tell anybody about it. So I didn't. The only people that knew I was drinking it was Wendy and Tara and my husband. And Wendy would check in on me, and I would complain to her about all my health issues, and she'd be like, you know what, you really need to be on ProBio 5 and BioCleanse. And I'd be like, no, 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 thank you. I'm fine. I've got this super probiotic from a naturopath, and it's really expensive, and it has to be cold shipped to me, and it has to be kept in the refrigerator, and whatever. There's no way that your probiotic is better than my probiotic. And she'd be like, okay. And then a few weeks or a month later, she checked back in with me, and I'd be complaining again because nothing was changing for me. And this went on for a few months, and finally I gave in. I'm like, fine, give me your freaking probiotic because nothing else is working for me. And that is really when I saw massive health changes. Before that, I was sleeping better. I had better energy. I was not having those sugar crashes anymore. Uh, I had started to lose a few inches, not a lot, but there was definitely some improvement there. But once I got on ProBio 5 and BioCleanse with the Slim, that is really when I started to be able to get off the 11 different medications that I was taking every single day. And it's really changed my life. And that's why I'm really passionate about sharing all this. So we just want to get on this call with you to see about your story and what you're going through, you know, why you decided to start Plexus and kind of where you're at right now so that we can help guide you along the way. We want you to know it's not just Chandra, but it's also Wendy and I and our whole team that's here to support you.
Okay.
So does that sound all right, Susan? Would you feel comfortable sharing with us a little bit?
Sure. Sure. So, well, I really want to lose weight, and I've had some children too, and I'm tired all the time, and I also can't go to the bathroom, and I feel crabby a lot. Also, I'm not on any medications, but I do eat really healthy. I've been on the products, I don't know, 3 weeks now or something. And I haven't lost any weight. Actually, I'm bloated. And I don't really go to the bathroom still very well either. I'm craving a lot of sugar, and I thought this was going to make me not crave sugar. So I'm just a little bit frustrated because, you know, I know a lot of you see these results really fast, but I don't feel like I'm seeing anything good. I'm just seeing all this bad stuff. So I don't feel like I want to keep doing this really right now.
Can I ask you, you said you were on them for 3 weeks. Can I ask you what products you're taking and how much of each of them you're taking?
Well, I'm taking the pink drink, which is a little bit gross. And I am taking the BioCleanse. I think I take 2 times a day. And I'm taking 1 ProBio 5.
All right. So let me ask you, how often are you pooping? You said not a lot. So what's not a lot?
Well, like I'll go every other day, maybe.
Okay. We really want you to go at a minimum every day. One
That would
other
be
question.
nice.
Yes, that it's going to be phenomenal once we get you there. So also, how much water are you drinking?
I mean, I drink a lot of water.
So do you know how many ounces?
Like, I don't know, maybe a couple glasses of water or 3 glasses of water or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
I drink like 4 of those water bottle things.
Sorry.
Yeah.
you're making this so difficult. I adore you. Okay.
Isn't this awesome?
It's great.
So, all right, the first thing that we want to do is we want to adjust some of your doses, and then water is your new best friend. It is extremely important that you do your part and that you actually know the amount of ounces that you're getting in your body every day. Many of us think that we're drinking enough water, but we really are very short of the amount that we need. The water is going to help flush these toxins out of your body as we're trying to kill off the bad bacteria and that kind of stuff. So we need to be drinking enough water. We need to be taking enough BioCleanse, because our waste is our primary route of our toxin elimination. The other great thing to do is just move your body. So sweating, because it's going to come out through your sweat as well. The first thing I want you to do is I want you to get a cup, bottle, whatever it might be, and that's your water bottle. And I want you to know how many ounces are in that bottle so that you know how many times you need to refill it during the day. So if it's a 20-ounce bottle, you know that you have to fill it at minimum of 4 times a day. So the new recommendation for water from WebMD, you can check it out, for anybody, not somebody that's on Plexus, but just everybody walking around this earth, you should be drinking a minimum of half your body weight in ounces a day just to stay hydrated. So that is your goal. And if that number overwhelms you, I'm not going to ask you how much you weigh. You can keep that to yourself. But I want you to do a minimum of 80 and work your way up to that half of your body weight in ounces.
Does
That's
tea
something
count?
that you can.
Does tea count?
Tea
as
does
well?
not count. It does. It has to be water. Now you can go on Pinterest and you can look up those great spa water recipes. If you want to add some fruit or some herbs like mint or basil to it to give it a little bit of flavor, but tea and coffee does not count. Soda, absolutely not. You want it to be straight, clear water.
Okay, here's what I want to do. Because it's almost been an hour, and trust me, we could take this call for another 45 minutes with her.
Yeah.
Because
she's difficult. She's really difficult.
I love, you came on, it was just perfect. It was absolutely perfect. And I know
it was real.
You were saying some of the exact same things that most of us, if not all of us, have heard, right?
Right.
And I really loved it because that is the way this call would go. And so then I would probably step in and I would talk a little bit about something, just probably talk about what you're eating or how you're feeling on it. And then my favorite is Chandra would bring up something like, well, Amber, could you talk about the vital biome? And then we get to go into the most scientific fabulousness ever. So here's what I'm thinking, because like I said, I don't want to keep everybody on here, and we could. Maybe if I can get these 3 ladies again to do a private Zoom that we could just record and finish this. So then we could just post that and you guys could see what it would look like to troubleshoot someone who's having these very specific issues. And just have it on a recording that we can go back and look at. Okay. I don't know how you guys would, I know that I would love to see it. So, so I will invite the 3 of you to join me on a call when we have some time and we could just finish this where we were. So, all right, what is this one? I'll participate too. There's another, I put my glasses on here. But yeah, so that's pretty much where we would head with this call. And we would continue until we felt like that Susan was feeling supported, like she had a step for tomorrow and she wasn't going to quit this week. Okay, does that make sense? We would get her to the point where she felt confident in what we've said and she was in agreement that, okay, I'm going to drink the water. And then when we say to her, we're going to check in with you probably next week, we just, whether it's another Zoom call or just on a message, we just want to keep contact and see how you're doing. And we would get that. It's really wonderful to see that moment where you know that you've got them. Their face just kind of changes. It softens like, wow, you finally heard me. I want this to work and I'm trusting you. And that's when we can let them go and say, okay, well, it was really great talking to you and we are going to check in on you. Okay. I hope this call has made a lot of sense to you guys. Be prepared, start thinking about who your team is going to be, because you're going to, if you're in that challenge group or momentum, I want you, and even if you're not, I want you to do a mock trial of this just like we did. You might giggle a little bit in the beginning, laugh, but you want to go through this where it's a safe place where you can just practice it, try it, decide what you need to fix or change, and then you can jump right in with your teams. Okay?
We had one more thing, Wendy. Just as the level one, when I do this, I make sure that I have in front of me what products those people are on. And the most important thing is how long they've been on it. Because 100% of my clients answer incorrectly. I've been on it 60 days. And I'm like, no, it's been 12.
Yeah,
That's the best.
On how consistent they've been on it, because they'll say to you, I've been on it 30 days, but they still don't need more product. So the consistency there is not there.
Right.
Yeah.
And if they're following that slow startup and they say, well, I've been on it for 30 days, I can see and go, well, you probably still have half a bottle of Probio 5 because I don't even have you on full dose yet. So, you are absolutely right. And that's been some of the cool stuff is that when we ask a question, Amber or I will ask a question and the client is going, and Chandra's got it right there. She's got their history. She's like, oh yeah, you started on this date. You've been this long. We bumped it up to here. I mean, so very, very organized. It's been really, really wonderful. So, all right. I hope you guys got something out of this. And like I said, we'll try and put together a just where we're going to finish it so you guys can see how that would look. And you might hear some of the language and just be a part of that. All right.
Yeah.
You guys have a great night and we will talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Peace.
Thanks for all your help, ladies.
You're welcome.
All
Have
right.
a good night.
You too.